Hi, everyone, and welcome to this conversation today about AI in construction, a practical guide to adopting a project and productivity game changer. We're going to talk some real use cases for using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and automation in construction projects and their benefits, turning around challenges that impede really rolling out construction technology, that every project is different, and the value from dynamic work management. Three things I want you to take away from today: productivity, predictability, and safety. Hi, I'm Isaac Sikolik. I'm the president of Star CIO. I'm the former CIO over at Dodge and ENR. I'm a writer and speaker. I'm also a QuickBase partner and customer. Joining me today is Anthony Chiradana. Anthony, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. My name is Anthony Chiradana. I'm the CIO for Consigli Construction. We are a general contractor with offices from Maine to Raleigh, North Carolina, and New York City. We're about $3 billion in revenue. We're also a QuickBase client and customer.
And Arni Heiskanen, welcome to the floor.
Thank you, Isaac. Yes, my name is Arni Heiskanen in Finnish. I'm a Finnish consultant, architect originally based in Helsinki, and I'm a construction innovation agent nowadays, helping companies innovate as a consultant, but also as a communicator. I'm very avid on social media. I have a blog. I've been blogging for almost 14 years now, and also a podcaster. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Arni. Andy, let's just jump right in. Back office functions, job site functions. What are you doing today to automate with AI and machine learning?
So we're taking the approach with AI to help everyday usage and efficiencies through using tools that can help us with email, but also reviewing things in our project management process with RFIs and submittals, as well as looking at things for progress when it comes to photos in our schedule and connecting all of those and helping us become more efficient. We're focused on efficiency when it comes to the AI.
And Arni, so many things that we're focused on. What do you see as the opportunity in using AI in construction today that people should really take advantage of?
Well, yes, there are naturally a plethora of opportunities if you follow the industry. But I see actually three areas where I would focus. Pre-construction is one of those. When you are planning a project or doing bidding, that's one way where you can optimize what you're doing. The job site situational awareness is one of those things when the project is already running, where you can get a good understanding of where the project progress is, what's everybody doing, and so on. And the third thing is automating workflows, replacing manual processes with automation. I think that those are the three areas where I have seen, of course, our clients have seen great results already.
Thanks, Arni. And Anthony, maybe bring this down to the end user's perspective. What does it look like from a foreman, from a project manager, from the owner, architect, and subs? So many different people really collaborating on the job site. What does dynamic work management look like from their perspectives?
Yeah, where we're trying to infuse some of this and testing some of the AI capabilities are so basic things when you look on a job site where we're tracking our safety for our field staff, where they're submitting things for safety orientations and submitting things like their OSHA cards. So we're using QuickBase right now to look at when someone submits an OSHA card, to scan that and see if the word OSHA is in there, to verify that it's a true picture of a card and not just some picture of something else random, to help in that kind of efficiency process. And as Arni was saying, that we're also looking at it from a beginning of the job perspective with proposals and helping us generate proposals off of our existing work and things that we've done before, helping generate that proposal for a job as well.
And so what does that look like? I mean, it sounds like we're reducing the amount of time waiting for information. Do I have that right?
Yeah, we're trying to take the information we've learned from in the past and used in what we've done and try to educate ourselves, but also answer questions that instead of having to the simple search of a file store or Google search something where it can kind of look at what the questions we're asking it and prompting it for specific needs for a job we're trying to win. Can it create a template from a proposal that we've done before? Can it pull that information forward for us very efficiently instead of what we're doing today, which is searching through, reading through those documents, and maybe missing stuff.
And then also like some of the surprises that you hit on the job site where you're trying to find some information. How are you using these technologies to address that?
Yeah, we're trying to help. We're trying to have it leverage things like where it sees materials that we don't want to be using, or trying to verify materials that are coming to the job site. Is that information from the spec? Can it bring that forward instead of us having to kind of fight through finding that in the documentation? So
Great. So Andy, those are some real use cases that you're either deployed in production or working on and iterating on. Arnie, maybe bringing us into some of the forward-looking use cases of where AI is going to take construction.
Well, if you're focusing on construction, on the construction side and pre-construction, I would say that one thing is optioneering. So how can we use AI to optimize the whole process that we're planning? And for example, that can happen before the actual construction, but also during construction. For example, there are now companies providing elevators and they can use elevators as data sources and optimize the whole logistics process and the movement inside, for example, large high-rise construction sites with AI. So it's kind of giving a lot of leverage uh, with data on the job side. And also we have seen now one very important application is data analysis. So we can collect data first with, for example, robots and drones and things like that, and then analyze the data, for example, to come up with understanding where the project progress is at the moment. So I would call this situational awareness, and automating that situational awareness is something that I think that will turn construction sites more like into like a manufacturing plant where you all the time you know what's going on, who's doing what, and is it efficient and productive.
Thank you, Arnie. Maybe just dive a little bit into computer vision, that aspect of keeping an eye on the job site. What's the state of the art right now with that technology?
Well, the state of the art is that instead of us going through thousands or tens of thousands of photos and videos, you can use AI to automatically draw information and compare that with the schedule, so you know exactly how you're performing. And also nowadays we are using sensors on workers so that you know exactly where everybody's working and if any team is where they're supposed to be and how efficient they are. So you will be getting data like never before that actually shows you where you're spending your time, how productive you are. And I've seen uh, construction workers really praise this opportunity to show that it's not them who are not productive. It's actually the whole process, the management of the project that is not optimal. So I think that this data in general opens up really vast opportunities for companies. Of course, there are also concerns about privacy and so on, but I think that we will get to the next level in terms of leading or managing with data and information instead of hearsay or something like that.
Anthony, you have like a great example of dynamic work application and safety. You started to talk about it earlier. Maybe dive into that a little bit. It's not just a production workflow that you have. You're starting to build computer vision into that experience. Maybe take us through the entire experience of what that looks like today and where you're building it toward in the future.
Yeah, in the safety example, where we orientate our staff that come to site, we ask them to submit certifications and things like that, and we're looking at the AI to and we're doing it now, and we're testing it and actually using it on some of our jobs and piloting it, where it's looking at the information that they're submitting and like the pictures of their OSHA cards and other items, and giving us feedback, so that when the next step in that process, which is an approval to be on site by the superintendent, is everything there, and catching stuff for them that they may miss, as large job sites have tons of people coming in and out. So those are some of the ways that we're trying to use that. We're also looking at that when it comes to closeout information, and trying to learn from that, and trying to take those O&M manuals and maybe turning them into a chat bot where you can ask questions of those O&M manuals. So those are kind of those practical things we're trying to do with AI, and see if it works, because AI's got different aspects to it than just like as you said, computer vision and the large language models and stuff.
And you're adding a vision use case to it, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, in the way of taking information from those photos and putting it into our database and our system, which is in this case QuickBase, where we're collecting information. So we're starting to scrape the information off there, and then finding things like expiration dates to their certifications. You know, what other types of certifications they have in there, so that it's now in a searchable way instead of just looking at a photo.
Super. I want to bridge this into, how things work inside Consigli Construction. I did an article a bunch of years ago when I worked for Dodge, just about construction being laggards in use of technology. And here you are, you're building dynamic workflows, you're experimenting with computer vision. What does that look like? When you're deploying applications, what's the innovation process? How are you really conceiving and then rolling out these game-changing ideas?
Yeah, our focus is always field first, and where we can make the field efficient, where we can not get in the way of schedule and budget and time. From a perspective of construction lagging behind, it has to lag behind because it has to be safe, it has to be on budget, it has to be on time. And many of our construction jobs, unlike manufacturing, are incredibly different and have to be, and are very diverse. So our focus is where we can infuse these technologies, where we can make people efficient but not get in the way. So simple things like helping them, one of the things we're looking at is looking at RFIs and looking at all the information and all the questions and all the proposed solutions we've done before. We have all that information. How do we bring that forward for a new hire or a young superintendent or PM who's going to look at an RFI that comes in? Here's the way we've answered this question before, or here's the proposed solutions that have worked for us before. Or looking at subcontractors and saying this subcontractor tends to be late or tends to overestimate a change. So as we do that, we pilot those things. We try to infuse it in the regular work process, but we don't try to have it be so much that it's going to make them do rework. So that's kind of been our approach to it. So we've been pushing these things and testing them, but in a way that phased approach to making it kind of part of the overall workflow.
And you have a few strategic drivers that you're really aiming for around this, that are sort of top down. Can you share a couple of those?
Yeah, so we started from our AI approach in general has been, how do we make us efficient in the back office by using things like Microsoft's Copilot to help us do simple things like when asked, when do you have an opening in your schedule? When can you responding or summarizing emails and long emails. And now we're taking the next step where we're, like I talked about with our proposals, to say, how do we make our proposal process more efficient? We bid on a lot of work every month. We've done a lot of work in the past. How can an RFQ or some proposal process come in and the AI look at that and say, here's the template for you for that to propose on that job?
And then the collaboration with the field and the IT group, beyond just understanding schedules, are you coming to them with ideas? Are they coming to you with ideas? How do we take something that might be valuable in the field specifically and really say we want to experiment in this area? Take the safety example.
Yeah, so for exactly in the safety example, we see IT in the field as a partnership. So we want to partner with the field. We want to listen to what they need and try to slowly infuse and add those processes there for them. So each year we have strategic initiatives to try to get better. And we focus in on that. Where safety is involved, we focus in on how do we collect our information better? How can that analyze that information to make us safer? How do we then make the process of those analysis faster for the people doing the work? So when you're looking through certifications and stuff like that, how do we make that easier for the person who's managing that job? So those are kind of our focuses, partnership at all levels.
Great. And Arnie, I mean, you describe yourself as an innovation agent. What are some of your recommendations in terms of just being able to experiment and roll out these technology capabilities, but more importantly, being able to scale these game-changing ideas across multiple projects and teams?
Yeah. First of all, what we have found really working is that you focus on one problem at a time, that a well-defined problem that you know the metrics of already. So, for example, how many hours or days it takes to perform that task. And then you can, against that baseline, you can start planning what to do. So I'm sure that many of us have seen the situation where we are trying something out on one job site, but it's really difficult to scale it. So one thing that we have noticed works is that we have these certain champions, people who are really enthusiastic and also hands-on the problem, and they then whenever they move to a new project or are used as consultants in a way on other projects. That's the one way through humans, through people to scale these applications. And of course, eventually the goal is that, as Anthony, I think, said, that these become like your daily tools. So it becomes a habit to use them, because otherwise, if they are just tests and pilot tests and things like that, they will very easily be forgotten and back to the previous. It's easier to go back to the previous way of doing things, and so I think that is maybe the biggest challenge in general in this AI thing.
So find a concrete problem that's going to be giving you some focus, using change agents to take something that's working in one place and scaling it out to others. Where does low code play in this is sort of formula? You also described yourself as an architect.
Well, previously, the idea of having any kind of AI application, for example, on one project was really futuristic. Nowadays, with these low-code, no-code tools, it's much easier. So the technology will no longer be the problem. Maybe still the data, the available data, the quality and quantity of data is important, but still we now have tools that we can very quickly try out and see if it works and adjust, and that's something that used to take months or even years to do, and now we can do it in days. I think that's a fantastic evolution.
Thanks, Arnie. Now, Anthony, talk to me about your vantage point about scaling this. Where does the notion of customer play in, and really, how do you develop trust so people can work collaboratively between the operations and the IT group?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is always scope, taking, an idea and taking a problem or a need for an efficiency or change to add efficiency, controlling your scope. You have the great idea, and how do you get there in phases? How do you make it work for the team without um, not having goals set to say you have this great idea and you want AI to be reading your mind, but can it first start with looking at our information? And I think that's where where I said with the what we've been using QuickBase for with the low code information is the biggest key is connecting to our data. So that's what we found very valuable with tools like QuickBase, that it can connect to our data, bring it in, and allow us to do things around it. We're looking at things from a machine learning standpoint to say, look at the way we close out a job and find us ways that show us jobs that are closing late. Is there something we can indicate earlier based on all the information we've been collecting? So trying to set good goals and trying to control the scope of any project is key.
Thank you, Arnie. This idea of data that Anthony brought up. We used to think of projects sort of independent islands. You come in, you do your job, you walk away from it. Now we're starting to bring data together. We're aggregating it, we're centralizing it. They can become productivity boosters. They can be safety boosters. Can you share some examples on the impact of using this aggregated data?
Well, naturally, as you said, we oftentimes look at projects separately, but when we start thinking in what is my favorite thing is this portfolio kind of thinking, where you put all the data together and you start seeing trends, and you start seeing why is this job site or project performing so much worse than any others. What are the root causes for this? And this kind of analysis has really boosted many companies, and also as I said, during pre-construction, if you can use existing data and start optioneering the project, I have heard of savings in the scale of millions on one project just by planning it a little bit more accurately and looking for alternatives and options and optioneering, basically. So when you have all this data, it opens these kind of opportunities. But of course, we have almost too much data, and some issues relate to that. What is the right, correct data, and is it useful, and how can we make it so that it can be used securely and we can trust it? And that's one of the problems, because of course we have noticed that not always the data is not always as accurate or as standardized as we would wish. So still, data is a very central issue when developing AI, as I'm sure Anthony knows as well.
Yeah, Anthony, help me out here. You said accurate and standard data, but when I walk in and look at a project manager's desk and look at their desktop, I'm seeing spreadsheets for the WIP. I'm seeing spreadsheets for daily reports. What does it look like to actually create a centralized data effort inside a construction company?
Yeah, I think that's a key thing, and it's been a key focus for us for years. Obviously AI has been around for a while, but the collection of data is always an issue and always ever present, especially with the diverse jobs where those jobs are located and how you can access things through the internet or different internet connections at these job sites. So that's where we really leveraged QuickBase and our low-code tool to start eliminating spreadsheets wherever possible, standardizing forms in the collection of data, because we knew that next great thing, may it be AI or the next great app, is only going to be meaningful to Consigli if it can use Consigli's data. And it's only going to be meaningful for us if the data is accurate and collected in a way that can be audited and can be easily presented. So over the last few years, we've slowly eliminated most of those extra spreadsheets that were existing between our ERPs, between our PM solution, by using things like QuickBase. And then that's allowed us to then send that data to our data lake. And now with that data in our data lake, what can we do with it with AI? What can we do with it for reporting and hopefully start being more predictive with it.
So Anthony, I'm hearing that, concrete measured approach to get rid of the spreadsheet in the middle. I'm hearing a nice technology term, a data lake, right? We're starting to centralize our data. And I'm hearing, using tools to actually cement the workflows. Maybe give me a sense of how this works at Consiglia with your ERP, with the integrations, with QuickBase. What does the architecture look like?
So as we looked at information that was important to us, may it be our safety tracking or our WIP process or our financials, monthly financial work on jobs, collecting that information in a structured way that was easy and web-based, but also secure, but then had the ability to tie back to things in our accounting system, in our project management system like Procore, where we integrated our material tracking from Procore to QuickBase. And now we have got that history of when things are getting delivered to site, when they were late, or where they're being captured, and then taking that to help us kind of start making metrics on how we're doing that will hopefully then take us to be able to start predicting. But we also started entering things like our resource tracking there as well, where people are working in types of jobs they're working on, which was also something that was disconnected data.
So you have a connected environment, Procore for your system of record, QuickBase as your sort of workflow engine, a data lake as your reporting engine. Sounds like a modern architecture to me. Arnie, take me to the future again. What does the job site of the future look like? We're going from a world of where paper and wait states governed a construction project to now we're trying to become more efficient, more productive, and now we're starting to use AI and computer vision. What does it look like in the future from your vantage point?
I think that the future job site is very much managed remotely. So you can have we have seen control centers like which can control several job sites at the same time. So everything is the information is always up to date. It's updated, and we can let's say remotely inspect, for example, the construction site. We don't have to be walking around all the time. So we have a lot of possibilities there. But also, I can see that robotics is coming also. For example, tower cranes will probably be remotely controlled in the near future. And in general, the job site starts to look more like a manufacturing plant than a manual workshop. That is the case often today. So I think that is that's the main change that we will see. And also people will be empowered with data and information. So every worker on the job site knows exactly what to do, where to do, when to do, and all the materials flow in. Material availability is almost 100%, and so on. So the whole process becomes more controlled, and I think that will boost productivity immensely, and also make workers happier, because we are talking people here, and these tools should help them, and not just some theoretical model that we have in our minds. So that's the job side of the future, how I see it.
Arnie, thank you for that insights. Anthony, your vantage point mentioned workers. Tell me about how it's helping the knowledge gap and close that knowledge gap with the younger workers.
Yeah, a big threat to our industry is the aging out of experience, and the lack of new people coming in with the skill sets needed to build these complex buildings. So how do we bring information to those new people? How do we take the experience that's leaving our industry and allow it to help? So simplistic things to the point of Arnie, to the job site of the future. I see, well, hopefully, closer than some of this is that, you know, a superintendent's walking a site and can take a picture of a window and tell us if the quality of that window installation is there. And as material comes to the site, can it be verified? Or when a question comes up, there's instead of that super that's been there for 30 years that's no longer there, can the AI and can our systems give them the right answer, or at least a guidance that they would have gotten from that experience. So, and then the other thing is making it easier, like I said, for our new employees, and giving them technology that's helping them go home at the end of the day safe, but also on time, in not having to spend so much time going back to the trailer, entering data just to catch up.
Yeah, I would like to, yeah, maybe one thing that we have actually studied really carefully what the typical workday of a craft worker looks like. And unfortunately, the result is that they can spend only 20% of their time on actual value-adding work. So 80% is something else. And that's something that we should be able to at least reduce the non-value-adding time with AI tools.
That's a lot of gray work. Anthony, Arnie, thank you for this incredible conversation around today and the future of AI in construction. I want to remind everybody to drop your questions in the chat. We're going to try to answer all of them. A few things that we covered today, this notion of gray work, geez, the 80% that Arnie just mentioned, ways to convert that into dynamic work management. And then so important for us to get aggregated and predictive intelligence from all the data that we're collecting. We're going to simplify things on the job site and improve safety for our workers. And then when you think about rolling out innovation in your construction company, think about what your strategy is. What are some of the things that you're going to focus on? Creating a collaboration and trust between our folks in the operations, folks in our back office, and in our IT, who are the change agents who are going to allow us to take an innovation and scale it across projects, and then really forming the knowledge centers of excellence, the areas where you can help the new workers coming into your industry. Again, we're talking about AI in construction. Please leave your questions in the chat, and I look forward to answering them.